If you owned an N64 during the 90s, two things were for certain. You thought blowing inside a game cartridge that wasn't working would magically fix it, and you knew about Star Fox 64. By building on the formula crafted in the original SNES Star Fox game, and combining fun arcade shooting with a surprising level of depth, especially for a game made in the late 90s, Nintendo managed to birth a timeless icon in the foxy form of Fox McCloud. And Slippy. But that left Nintendo in an interesting predicament. Do they put together a surefire hit in the shape of another on-rails shoot-'em-up sequel? Or do they throw their balls at the wall and create a sprawling Legend of Zelda-style adventure featuring dinosaurs, mystic spirits, and a bartering system?
You pay this much.
This being Nintendo, they obviously chose the latter, crazier option.
Okay, I'll sell it to you.
Before going any further, I just want to preface this by saying that I am very clearly blinded by nostalgia where Star Fox Adventures is concerned. I adored this game as a kid, and I still adore it today. It would have been so easy for Nintendo to get another on-rails spaceship shootout thrown together for their new GameCube system. Look no further than Star Fox Zero for proof of that. But instead, they commissioned Rare and allowed them to go above and beyond in expanding the universe and concepts. All I learned from 64's world was that a bunch of space animals enjoyed shooting at a big face man. In Adventures though, I finally got to see up close one of the planets I was saving, and for me, that's really where the joy of Star Fox Adventures lies. Discovering the secrets in the environments, talking to the inhabitants, and finding out which parts of the ecosystem want to gas me to death. And that charm extends itself across a range of different areas, from the mammoth-populated snowy mountains to the pterodactyl-filled sky fortress. Adventures never fails to engross you as it continually builds its world and those that occupy it. But it's not just catching the sights and the background detail that makes Adventures such an irresistible game to explore. The lovable, if a smidge cringy, cast of characters do so much to absorb you into the story. The two most important being our protagonist Fox, who expels enough exposition and random questions he could give Solid Snake a run for his money.
I'm sick of foxes.
And also Tricky, the young Prince Triceratops you've been tasked with protecting. Now, Tricky is a tricky one to place, because he's kind of like Marmite if it was filled with shards of red-hot glass. At this point, the smart-mouthed, annoying sidekick we eventually grow to love is a tried and tested cliche. And while I did eventually grow to somewhat love Tricky, he's still a little piece of shit I hope gets beaten by sharp claws more often. Which leads us nicely onto maybe the most important and biggest wasted potential of the game, General Scales. General Scales is by far the most intimidating antagonist to barely have any significance to a game's plot. We're about to get into spoiler territory here. When Rare pitched this idea to Nintendo, they no doubt made it crystal clear that they intended to change and expand the formula in new and scary ways, including a new antagonist to rival everyone's favourite nasty face, Andross. Step in General Scales, the tyrannical leader of the Sharpclaw tribe who's hell-bent on conquering Dinosaur Planet simply because he's a naughty dino dude like that. He also likes to dabble in attempted murder, torture, and slavery. But after a long game of cleaning up Scales' mess, when we're finally given the chance to exact some justice firsthand, the game jumps to a cutscene and we're greeted with the surprise twist that it was just the big nasty headman Andross all along. No build up, very little foreshadowing, not really any real acknowledgement either. Just, oh look, it's Andross. Typically, this is something I'd feel disdain for. So many games before and after this have thrown their potentially great narratives out of the window in favor of taking the easy road. Mass Effect, Batman Arkham Asylum, Fable 2, we could be here all day. Please feel free to add your own in the comments if you feel like feeling sad like I do. But that's not the case with Star Fox Adventures, because I only really feel pity and disappointment. Traditionally, the worst a developer will have to put up with is a tight budget and even tighter deadlines. But Rare also had to contend with the Star Fox brand being forcefully slapped onto the game midway through, creating a totally different one. And as such, the amount of content left on the cutting room floor is staggering. It could easily be a whole video in and of itself. For me though, the truly shameful part of the last boss fight falling so flat is that despite following the classic do a thing 3 times formula firmly established by Mario and Bowser, all the existing boss encounters are as memorable as they come. In no other game could I get swallowed by a giant insect creature and escape by beating the crap out of the little dangly bit in the back of its throat.
I want you to touch that little dangly thing that's swinging the back of my throat.
We've also got a giant T-Rex. Always scary, always welcome. On top of that, there's also a muscled kangaroo-looking dude, and this terrifying motherfucker. For me, a big climactic boss fight with Jen Scaly would have been the perfect cherry on top of this admittedly weird dinosaur-themed cake. I could go on and on and on and on about what aspects of Star Fox Adventures that I love, and how the fact that I love those aspects makes me forgive some of the game's digressions. Like I said at the start, to a fairly large degree, I am being led by my nostalgia in regards to Star Fox Adventures. But that doesn't mean I can't see what issues some players would have found with the game, especially for those fans of Star Fox 64 that wanted a more direct sequel. They must have really hated Adventures, considering the fox-sized frog turd the on-rail space sections turned out to be. I can only imagine the disappointment going from flying through space, obliterating enemy ships in a tightly crafted set piece, to beating up dinosaurs with a big metal stick. While we're talking about the big metal stick, the combat is somehow more simplistic, but also kinda more complex than a Dark Souls game. More complex in the sense that you have 4 types of attack pattern instead of just 2. I could rant and rave all day about why I love this game, and a part of me wants to, but a part of me also knows that it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I want to go to bed. So in an attempt to get to the heart of the reason, without wasting 4 hours of your day, this is one of the many titles that made the GameCube a standout console in gaming's already long history. Nintendo might sometimes make very bad games, but they very rarely make boring ones. Huh? And Star Fox Adventures is neither of those things. Instead, it's a delightfully charming experiment that might have isolated its core fans back in 2002, but in hindsight, undoubtedly warrants a second look. Now though, I want to know if you enjoyed Star Fox Adventures, or if you'd have preferred a more traditional take for the GameCube iteration. Also, if you enjoyed the video, we'd really appreciate if you left us a like, or even did unsubscribing. Quite a lot of people have been unsubscribing recently, and it's amazing to see. Thank you all so much. Regardless of what you do, I will still treasure the support you've already shown us by getting this far in the video. Thank you again for watching, and cheers.